lose in your fantasy league. We got that blue and orange blood that you bleed. The most loyal fans there ever could be. We are that Mile High Broncos country.
The Denver Broncos select Orange Weekly, Fans, Brews, and Broncos News. Good afternoon, Broncos country, and welcome to another edition of the Pregame Tailgate Talk. My name's Kevin, and I got Jared here with me. Guys, the Broncos are set to take on the Raiders in Las Vegas. Knock on wood, a place they haven't won in before, but today could be a different story. So we'll start with this. Jared, how are you doing today, man?
Doing great. It's Raiders week. It's been a fun week all week after the big win last week, and super, probably overly optimistic about the game today. Let's be honest. I'm super overly optimistic about what the Broncos can put on the field compared to what the Raiders have been able to do. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, man. Look, this is a team. Both teams are kind of heading in different directions. Broncos are definitely looking towards that P word, right? Things are looking good for them. They have a lot of work to do ahead of them to get to that point. The Raiders are kind of in that realm of, well, do we go for a better draft pick or do we look to spoil some fun here for some other teams at the end of the season? And when it comes to the Broncos, I have no doubt that they're going to go out there and try to do everything they possibly can to spoil the Broncos' fun. And so, Jared, I mean, start with this. If you're the Raiders, you know, you're looking at the Broncos and just the dominant win we had last week against the Falcons. You're a 2-8 team. You're pretty banged up, man. What are you trying to do against the Broncos to have a chance to beat us?
Yeah, I mean, literally anything. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to throw some trick plays in there, doing some different things. And honestly, it's going to be very hard for their offense to do anything on our defense. And what it's going to end up coming down to is what can their defense do to stop Bo Nix from spreading the ball around, the run game. You know, Javonte had a great game. Estime, whoever has the hot hand this week, stopping the run game somehow and also stopping Bo Nix from throwing dimes all over the field on him like he did against Atlanta. It's going to be hard. You know, if you're the Raiders right now, you're kind of looking at this as a rebuild. Like, okay, we're going to have to reset, figure out what's going to go on for the rest of the season. And Broncos are looking towards the playoffs. So it's just one of those weird positions. And obviously, it's a divisional rivalry game. So the Raiders are going to come out like they want to spoil it, right? They want to absolutely come out and beat us more than anything. And we have to continue that drive. We can't overlook 2-8 team and just say, yeah, we got this. We're going to have to play Broncos football, just like Anthony says.
Yeah, exactly. Boom. Look, if I'm the Broncos are hopefully looking at what happened to the CU Buffs last night and saying, we're kind of in a similar situation. We're the favored team, you know, a lot of good thoughts and good talk around our team going on right now. The message from Sean Payne to the coach, or from the Sean Payne and the coaches to the players this week, was don't get complacent. You know, there's tons of work we have got to do to continue to improve. This team isn't necessarily a nobody team. They still have big threats, and we can talk about those coming down here the pike here in just a minute. But, you know, we have to stay focused. You can't just dwell on all the things that the media is saying. In this case, it's a lot of positive things. Finally getting some recognition. Bo Nix is in that talk of offensive rookie of the year. And you can go watch my video, everybody, on YouTube and whatnot to hear my spiel about that if you haven't already. But, you know, we're getting that recognition. So are the players going to let it get to their heads? Or are they going to go out there and say, look, we got to get our, you know, put the nose to the grindstone and make sure we get this win?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, yeah, you could call it a trap game, and it does look like it if that's the case. We have a if you look at the schedule from just an Excel spreadsheet standpoint, right? I talked a lot about this on the pregame podcast, so make sure that you guys are subscribed to those and hear those out. But if you look at this from an Excel spreadsheet, who do you have on paper? Who's playing well? Who's not? How do the schemes match up against each other? This looks like one of those games that we could put up a 50-burger. But it's also a division rivalry game, and we all know how those work out. And I mean, if you're looking at just the Excel spreadsheet, look at Kansas City and the Panthers right now. Kansas City is struggling against the Panthers right now, which is crazy. And that's kind of what I'm afraid this will happen in their home stadium. We're also not super great playing on the road. If you look at, the last couple, I mean, we almost beat Kansas City in Kansas City, but, look at the Ravens game, look at some of these other away games. We struggle a little bit more than we do at home. So we need to focus on just getting a good, solid team win. And Sean Payton said it best in one of his pressers earlier this week. He said, the enemy right now this week is not the Oakland Raiders. It's not the Oakland. I knew I was going to say it. It took me 6 minutes.
Not using me.
Every year, it's not going to be the Las Vegas Raiders. The enemy is not the Vegas Raiders. It's us. The person that's going to stop us from winning this game is going to be us, whether it be dumb penalties, not being in the right place at the right time, just stupid little mistakes, or whatever it is. We're the ones that we need to focus on. If we can be the best person that we're playing, it doesn't matter who's on the other side. We are playing the best football that we're playing. We're not going to play down to anybody. We're not going to play up to anybody. We're playing the best Broncos football individually and as a team. And I think we saw a lot of that last week.
Yeah. I like this here, Joey. Win the turnover battle. We'll win this game. Defensively, it's going to be huge. I'd have to go back and look. I think we might have gotten won the turnover battle in the first Raiders game. With our defense, it's totally doable. Gardner Minshew is okay, right? But he's not an amazing quarterback. I mean, we have the talent in the backfield to get an interception. Hopefully something comes from the sacks. I mean, a strip sack, if we get something like that, it's totally plausible because this defense continuously gets to the backfield because the coverage is so good, right? It's just game in and game out. So as long as that actually produces and we see that, Joey, I mean, that's a huge key to the game. Completely agreed.
Yeah, so if we look at this real quick, I just want to bring up the injury status. We've talked about it. Not having Zach Allen there is tough. He was a full practice participant. We thought he was going to play. Then he was full practice middle of the week on Wednesday, limited practice Thursday, questionable to start. He's out for this week for whatever the reason is. I'm interested in finding out what's going on there. But we have Greg Dulcich is still out, and we thought we might be able to activate Reynolds and Sanders. Neither one of them were elevated for this game. They're out for the game. The other big loss, you can call it, Frank Crum on tackle. We still have most of our starting offensive linemen out there. But yeah, those are Zach Allen. Let's talk about the defense and what Zach Allen brings to this defense. And yes, I wouldn't say he's not the sack leader, but I think Spotty mentioned on the pregame podcast that he has the most pressures in the league, or second most quarterback pressures in the league. He doesn't have the most sacks, but he's making the guy move, which is getting the other guy sacks, right? Or getting the guys in the backfield interceptions because of off throws. So yeah, that is that's a huge loss on that Denver defensive line. But I still don't think that's the difference maker, right? It's a huge loss, and I don't think we're going to get 15 sacks today. But it's not going to stop us from being able to stop their run, because on the offensive side of the ball, they have neither one of their two starting running backs are in. There's a guy, I think we were joking about it earlier. Obviously, Madison's out, and so is Zamir White, are both out for this game.
Yep.
And I forgot. I'm going to pull it up real quick. And the guy that they have running back, both me and Spotty looked at it on Friday when we recorded the pregame podcast. We're like, that dude's still in the league. I'm just going to pull it up real quick. And I'll tell you who it is.
Yeah, while you do that, Zach Allen, and interrupt me, but Zach Allen, you're right. Not going to be the difference maker. We're going to miss him. Right. But, I'm looking at this Raiders team saying, I think they're a whole lot more banged up than we are. It's not like we're going up against the Ravens. It's not like we're going up against the Chiefs or one of these other powerhouse teams right now. It's the Raiders. Like, we'll have to overcome it, next man up for sure. But that we're probably not gonna be sitting here at the end of the game going, man, we lost because Zach Allen wasn't playing today.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this earlier. If we lose this game, it's going to hurt more than literally any other game we lost, because it's one of those that we're supposed to win. And good teams
Chiefs
win. We talked about this on Tuesday, Kev. We said it. Good teams win games they're supposed to win, and that's what it's going to be. Like the Chiefs game was close. We all took away, a lot of great things from that, and we're moving forward. And we're like, look, they're a tough team. They're hard to beat. That's them. This is not that team. This is one of those teams that we should be putting up 40 points on. And having this Amir Abdullah, that was the running back.
Yeah. What, really?
Yeah, we're like, he's still in the league, but yeah, he's their starting running back. They got some issues on the offensive line, and then we talked in depth about it. Brock Bowers being their top. I mean, he sliced and diced us in the first game as much as you can slice and dice. It was a pretty good game for the Broncos. But yeah, on both sides of the ball, there is one person you stop, and the rest of the game goes your way. On the offensive side of the ball, you stop Brock Bowers, right? That's straightforward. You stop Brock Bowers, you win the game. On the defensive side of the ball, on the Broncos offense side of the ball, you stop Max Crosby, and that's it, right?
Yep.
Like you got to control what you can control and make sure you know where those two people are on the field at all times, and we walk away with this one with a win.
I like this. Gary says we don't want to walk into this overconfident, need to keep our heads on straight. Followed by Joey saying Raiders are a front runner team. I don't know if they're a front runner team, but I do agree that if you do give them hope, they do tend to stick around. So here's one thing that I'm looking for, Jared. We talked a lot about this, especially after the Chiefs game, the Ravens game, all those. The Broncos have got to come out and not have these slow starts offensively. Going 3 and out right off the bat, and then maybe getting 1 or 2 first downs on your next drive, basically blowing the whole first quarter, is totally unacceptable. On top of that, coming out after halftime and actually putting some points up on the board, being productive in the third quarter, is also where they struggle. Now, last week, we saw them just do fantastic on both those fronts. The first drive looked bad at the beginning, right? Because we had to overcome that big 3rd and long, and we did. And then we had to overcome a big 2nd and long, and we did, right? So they were able to get going right off the bat, but they put themselves in a position where if something didn't go right, that would have killed the drive right off the bat. So what are you expecting to see in terms of, are we going to be able to continue that trend of starting off strong in both the first half, the second half, or do you have any concerns about that?
There's 2 pieces to this. And the first one I'll say, because it contradicts a lot of things that we say. If we want to try to establish the run game, we're going to start slow. Right. It's just how it works. You try to establish the run game, you get stopped at the line for one time, and then you can't abandon the run game because you got stopped at the line on 1st and 10. Or you got a 1-yard gain, now it's 2nd and 9, and we have to make up those 9 yards. So yes, it's gonna look like a slow start, but if we can continuously push the ball, get these 3-yard gains, get these 4-yard gains, get these, the biggest one is converting on 3rd and whatever the case is. And it's something that you've seen the Broncos do at least for the past few weeks, which is something that we're not used to, at least in the last 3 years, to see a 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 9 and just kind of like throw the hands up and go get another snack because you're not going to make it. But what I will say is, yes, we did very well against Atlanta Falcons. I think the first time we punted was right before the half, and we drove the ball down, and both of them turned into touchdowns. All of our and the game got out of hand for Atlanta really fast. So that's what you want to do. That's what you want to see a lot, because the defense is going to be able to stop the first half. They're not going to be able to put up, more than 21 points. I don't think any team's going to be able to put up 21 points and a half in the first half. So if we go out there and we have the lead, and our defense does what they need to do, stopping them, holding them to field goals, which is what happened against Atlanta, that's the recipe for success. Now, can you repeat that? Can that be a repeatable process? It's kind of hard because this league is difficult. Each team plays different. You have a Max Crosby on one end that can literally turn a 2nd and 5 into a 3rd and 15 real fast. And all of a sudden now you got the 3rd and long because the guy's just a monster and he got in the backfield. So yes, I want to see us go out there and start strong, but I also want to see us establish the run game. And if we can establish the run game early, where they have to load the box and pull those guys up, then it creates one-on-one matchups with their backup corners. That's what you want, right? You want to be able to hit those deep balls eventually later on, but by forcing them into going into some sort of man coverage.
Yeah. And that's where you're going to see Bo Nix really shine. You know, what we've been seeing from him is not just him learning the game, but the game slowing down for him. He's making those reads. He's reading the defense. He's reading the coverages. There's still learning he needs to, go through, and experiences he needs to experience to pick up on some stuff. But he's getting better week by week by week. And when you're talking about a quarterback that is able to run if he needs to, knows how to stay in the pocket and climb the pocket and make his reads, that's a very dangerous quarterback.
Yeah,
man, again, this is something we haven't had. And I think you go back to several weeks ago, we were talking about, it looked like Bo was maybe being told, don't run. It looked like he was maybe being restricted a couple times, where it looked like he could have gone out of the pocket and escaped. He stayed, right? And we were saying the point of that is so that he would learn to climb the pocket, learn to stay in the pocket where he needed to. And I think he's learning that, man. So I'm really happy with where he's going. And if you get those man-on-man coverages, Bo Nix can be a guy that picks you apart.
Yeah, I think he's growing, and he's growing faster than anybody probably expected him to. Even I think the front office, I think Denver and Sean Payton are like, man, this kid is growing a lot faster than I think even they expected, in as far as his reads and his ability to climb into the pocket. I mean, that was a 2-game, think about it. We were complaining about it, and then 2 games later, he's doing it, right? It wasn't like this give him the offseason, let him, work with the quarterback. It was literally 2 weeks, and all of a sudden you saw him stop throwing off his back foot, stop throwing balls that were like short into the ground. I think it was the Saints game that was really, really bad. But you saw it. You saw him doing those things. He's a student of the game, and he wants to learn, and he wants to get better. He wants to get better for himself. He wants to get better for the team and the people around him. And it's just cool to see. And it's one of those like warm and fuzzy feelings that you get, that no matter what happens, you finally have a quarterback that wants to do well for the team and wants to learn, and is actually showing you that he's doing those things, not just, pillow talk. It's nice. It's really good. Hey, Trace, what's going on?
Let's see, Allison, how you doing as well? Good to see you here. Hey guys, really quickly, Ken, I'm going to get to your comments. Don't forget, first off, halftime, we will be live. So make sure when you grab your phone, because we all do it. Don't tell me you don't touch your phone during halftime. That's a lie. Bring up Facebook, bring up YouTube, whatever. Find our stream, join us at the halftime hash, and share your thoughts on what's going on in the halftime. Also, don't forget, before the end of the show here in the last 15 minutes or so, we're going to be doing our score prediction game. We have been able, one time in the past, to give out some awesome Broncos prizes to the person who predicted the score correctly. So hang on to those. We'll let you know when it's time to post them. Remember, the rules for that is you have to pick the Broncos to win. I'm not rewarding anyone for guessing the score correctly if the Broncos lose. That's not happening. So you have to pick the Broncos to win.
If you're just in general, if you're choosing the Broncos to lose this week, we may need to start looking at some credentials on your Broncos fandom, because
we'll have some questions. We'll summon someone by, and just make sure you answer your door. But if you do get this score correctly, make sure you get a screenshot so you can let me know, hey, Kev Dan, my score is correct. Here's a screenshot of it, and I can send you some awesome Broncos swag for that. This is our 9th year. I would love to do this going into our 10th season. So no one's hit it yet except for that one person a couple years ago. Let's see it happen again, guys. Also, if you want to feel like a champion, make sure you're checking out Breckenridge Distillery Championship Blend, either their whiskey or their vodka. Whether you want to just drown some tears after a Broncos loss, or celebrate, or just feel like a champion in general, make sure you get some of that and enjoy it. Like I said, vodka as well. If you're like, oh, I don't like whiskey, well, you're weird, and that's okay. Nobody's perfect, but they have vodka for you as well. So, Jared, I don't know if you're a vodka guy, but I know I'm not.
No, I'm a whiskey guy, and I love their bourbon. And they do a very good job up there in Breckenridge on the way that they distill it and everything. It's so smooth, and I love it.
It is. Love it, guys. Okay, let's get back to some more Broncos talk as we get ready for the Broncos versus Raiders game. Ken, bring up comments here. A little worried today. Obviously, Vegas had this game with the Broncos as plus 1.5 dogs. It's looking like this one weird week that happens, once every year during the NFL, where some of these really low win teams end up with big upsets. And I don't know what the score is right now of the Chiefs versus Panthers, but
pulling that right now. Yeah, no, Chiefs went up. It was 16-20, and Carolina was getting ready to score. It looks like they didn't score, and Kansas City did. So it's 27-16. So that one doesn't look like it's going to be an upset anymore.
Okay. I mean, that'd be great, but then it's like, yeah, there are some weird things going on, right? So Broncos have to, take care of business like we were talking on early. But Ken goes on to say, let's just get a win anyway. Possible by 1 point is more than enough. Learning to win as a team is more important than style points. So, yeah, look, I mean, at the end of the day, I would rather not be like biting my fingernails late into the fourth quarter. Yeah, like, are we really going to lose to the Raiders? But at the end of the day, as long as we have more points than the other team, I'm happy. So, Jeremy, what do you think?
Yeah, everyone talks about the trap game, and that's kind of like the term for those 2-win teams actually win and one. It's hard. It's hard for me to see this one. And I feel like Kansas City said the same thing going into Carolina, like, oh, this game's going to be over by halftime. And I don't think this is going to be one of those games. We'll talk about score predictions in a minute. I don't think it's going to be one of those games where we just absolutely demolish them. I think we'll win by enough to where we're not biting our fingernails at the end of the game. But, I agree. I want to see us win together and win as a team. But I also want to see us be consistently just who we are, right? Good teams, I'm going to say it over and over again. Good teams beat the teams they're supposed to beat. And if we are playing together and we're playing consistent, then that's what you're going to see here. You're going to see that consistency. You're going to see us winning together, regardless of how we do it. If we go out there and stomp them, I'm going to be just as happy because that means we're playing our game. We're not playing their game. That's what I want to see. I want to see us play our game. And when we start getting into our own way, that's when it gets frustrating.
So I'm going to ask you a question about that really quickly. Jerry has posted his score prediction. I'll bring that up later. Ken is afraid to make a prediction. You'll jinx it. Just make sure you knock on wood afterwards, and you'll be fine.
I will say, Spotty called me out on the Tuesday show in the pregame podcast in the tailgate talk last week. I said this was going to be a burner. Like, I thought it was going to be like 34-31 against the Falcons. I thought like the defense, they had a number 6 ranked offense going into that game. And it wasn't. And even Spotty said on Tuesday, he was like, dude, I'm so happy your score prediction wasn't right. I still picked the Broncos to win, but it would have been crazy if it was some sort of like 30-30 game. But it is tough to make these predictions. And for those that get it right, that's amazing. It's crazy.
It's rare. It does happen, but it's rare.
Yeah.
It is very rare. Angelo, how you doing? Glad to see you up in the house today. Jared, you were talking about, if the Broncos play their game, they're going to win. And we've talked for years. How many years have we gone on this? Broncos are trying to find their identity. Who are they, especially on offense? What's their identity? So I want to get your take, because we haven't really addressed this, come back to this full circle, because now we see them kind of forming an identity. In your mind, what is that identity? When you say when the Broncos play their game, what is their game?
I'm gonna talk offensively, because I think defensively we've seen it now for 2 years straight, and I think DJ has done a fantastic job with that defense of just swarming the ball, helping each other out, making sure communication is good across the board. That man coverage with the blitz, and you see a lot of times our defensive linemen being able to make the first contact, which I think is huge, and that's something that we really pride ourselves on. Once you make that first contact, swarm the ball. That's what our defense is. On the offensive side of the ball, and I love it, it's a balanced game where you don't lean on 1 or 2 people to make the play. Last week and in weeks before, you're spreading the ball out, right? Like, I think he had like, if Troutman would have caught his ball, he would have had 10 receivers with a catch in that game. And he's spreading the ball out. He's getting the ball to different people. It's scheming people open, and it's making defenses think, okay, I don't just have to cover Cortland Sutton. I now have to cover Devont Bailey. I now have to cover Lil Jordan Humphrey and Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
You now have to cover everybody, including the tight ends, who we've been talking crap about over time, right? And we need this new tight end, but even they're playing pretty decently. Our fullback got a touchdown, the first touchdown of the game last week. Like, when you have to cover all those people, it makes it very difficult for the defense. And that's what I love. And it's a balance of run and pass, regardless of how we're doing in the game. You're seeing, well, unless we're down, right? Obviously, we're trying to throw a lot more if we're down, but when we were up, you still saw us throwing, right? You saw us running the ball successfully. You saw us throwing the ball successfully. And you saw us opening up things through that because the playbook was still open. So what I like about this team is that there's no one guy on this team that you can point to and be like, he's your star. Everybody, obviously, you talk about the quarterback. He's the leader of the offense. He touches the ball every single play, right? That's why everybody talks about the quarterback. And obviously what he does really revolves around it. But what he's building as a quarterback, as a leader on this team, is, hey, man, I'm going to you if you're open. Right? Get open and you'll get the ball. And that's so much better than, I know this ball is going to Cortland today. I know this ball is going to Cortland on this drive. There's no point in trying to do anything extra. It's just nice to see. And including in the running back game, everybody was giving me crap. Last week I wore my Javonte Williams jersey on the show because everybody was saying like, oh, Javonte Williams is done. He only got 3 carries. Estime is our new guy. But even in the running back game, it's like, I don't care who it is. Give it to the person who's running the best. Yeah. If that's Jaleel McLaughlin against a speedy team or against a power team and we can get to the outside, then that's Jaleel McLaughlin. If it's a team that's a little bit more fast and not so big, then yeah, it's Estime or Javonte. Get the ball in the hands of the playmakers that are going to do the best for your team and get us the score. It's not about fantasy. It's not about get me more points to this one player. It's about the team mentality. And obviously, I'm super hyped up about it. I just got on a soapbox about it, but like it warms my heart. It's so cool to see that this team's playing for each other, and it doesn't matter who gets a touchdown. It doesn't matter who has 1,000-yard game. It matters on how the team did, and it's just cool.
That's well said, because just to hear it explained eloquently, and we're seeing this week in and week out, and we're seeing it grow. This is what we've been talking about, guys. If you've ever wondered, like, okay, you hear everybody say the team's trying to find their identity. This is what we're talking about, right? Yep. All these pieces coming together. What does this team do well? And Bo Nix even commented on this during the last week, saying he feels like him and Sean Payton are basically on the same page. I'm not quoting verbatim, but we're on the same page. We're finding out what things work well for us. That's the identity. And when you find things that work well week in and week out, and they keep getting better, that's different than anything we've seen over the last 8 years, where it's like, okay, maybe this is working for a little bit, and then, it gets blown apart, or it just never works at all. And we're talking about identity through the entire season. So it's really awesome. Now, Jared, I want to pull this up for you because this was being talked about. And it ties to Jerry's comment here. I want to see Bo throwing some bombs today. Now, people probably look at the stat line from last week and say, well, Bo had over 300 yards. He had to have been throwing some bombs down the field. I'm going to pull up last week's next gen chart here. Here's Bo Nix's passing chart. Now, he didn't really throw any bombs. There's that 120 plus yard to the Vele that we saw. That was just immaculate. I mean, beautiful. But in terms of throwing bombs down the field, Jared, what are you seeing? Are you concerned about that? Or do you expect to see anything like that today?
Yes, later in the game. And I think I mentioned it earlier. You're going to want to see us get that run game established to force them out of their safety look. If we can get a single high safety look, and I know I'm talking real, in depth here on the offensive plan here, but if we can somehow get them into a single safety look, then yeah, those balls are going to get thrown. If they stay for some reason, which if we can establish the run game, there's no reason for them to stay in too high. They're going to have to pull that guy down the box. But if we can get him into a single safety look, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple, especially, Bo, I think every week, if not every week so far, he's thrown quite a few outside fades to just goes, right? Like, I don't care who it is, just beat your guy. And I think the 3 that I'm thinking, 2 of them were dropped. One was finally caught by Cortland for a touchdown. But it's open. He's throwing the guy open, right? In the quarterback role, we call it, if it's even, it's leaving. Right? If your DB and your wide receiver are even at the point of break, throw the ball because he's going to have that extra step on him. And what you're seeing is Bo Nix finding that and seeing it open up and being able to make those throws. So yeah, I believe we're probably going to get a couple bigger plays. And the one to Devon Vele, the one to Cortland Sutton that was over the middle, or was it Cortland? Yeah. There was one. I think it was Little Jordan Humphrey is it Cortland that fumbled the ball but didn't fumble the ball?
No, that was Humphrey.
That was Humphrey. Yeah. And so those were beautiful throws, right in the face mask, right over the linebacker. And again, that came with establishing the run game, because you make that linebacker hesitate on dropping back into that zone coverage. You can bump it over his head. And those are the kind of things that you're going to want to see. Yes, on the outside stuff, yeah, you're going to see, I think you see probably at least 1 or 2 deep shots. Whether or not they're successful, I don't know. Those are very low probability throws. But what you're going to see is exactly what we saw last time: is just get the ball in the hands of the playmakers and make them make plays. That's why we run so many screens. I think somebody mentioned it's really cool to see the screens. Like Marvin Mims, great on the screens. Also, for the record, I think we talked about this on Tuesday. You're seeing these screens happen, and I'm glad John hasn't been on the show for a little bit. Not glad, because I love the guy, but he used to talk so much shit about us. They're like, why are we still throwing screens? We suck at them. But we've seen over the time, especially this year, it used to be we couldn't throw a screen without having a legal man downfield. And now you're seeing these screens working because we're practicing them and we're perfecting them. And the offensive line is exactly where they need to be at the right time. The receivers know where they need to go. We scored 2 touchdowns on almost the exact same play to the wide receivers. And what it is those screen balls, get the ball in the hands of your playmakers and let them make plays. That's what it is. You don't need these explosive big 20 30 yards in the air bombs. If you could throw it 10 yards and he gets 30 on the ground, it works the exact same. And that's what you're seeing. And that's what you're seeing from our game plan. It's just get the guy open, get the ball in his hands, let him make a couple plays, and then we're off to the races.
If you go back to the beginning of the season, names like Devon Bailey, Little Jordan Humphrey, maybe Marvin Mims, they're not household names. They're not names that people recognize, and they're not names that people fear teams worry about. The Broncos were considered a bunch of nobodies, which is why they were ranked 31 in the league on a lot of power rankings, which give, power rankings are what they are, but we were still ranked at the bottom of the league so what you're seeing is Bo Nix and, the way this offense is being built are elevating these players around them. They're turning them into playmakers. You're saying, hey, we have the confidence in you. Go get this, go get the ball, go get the play done. And you're seeing this with people that, I'm not trying to discredit them at all. But if you think about when we do get some more bigger name free agents in here, or, these guys do develop into a couple more years down the line. And even if 1 or 2 of them hit and become a huge, big player, big playmaker down the line, this team, wow. And this is where, Kellen, I'm going to pull up your comment again. The future is so bright. If you can elevate players that the league just doesn't know into players that the league is now saying, oh, this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy. Okay, you're doing something very right. Very, very right.
It means the culture's right? We've talked about this over and over. It means the culture's there. Yes. It means that, I think, I forget what broadcast I was watching earlier, but they called them the no-name defense. Other than Pat Surtain, there's nobody on that defense that anybody that's not a Broncos fan can name. And it's kind of cool, right? Zach Allen, sure, because he came over to us, but it's cool to see that. And now you got a guy who's second in the league, third in the league after Myles Garrett's game. We'll see if he gets a couple big sacks this week. Bonito, having the second in the league in sacks, Zach Allen being second most in pressures. And it's not just him. I think the whole team in general is leading the league in sacks. Like our defense is a bunch of people brought together. Nobody out there that's just like, this is your guy, like all the things, right? And we love Pat Surtain. I think he's amazing, and I think he deserves that credit. But he's being a leader out there. He's not going out and being like, I'm the defense. He's out there giving credit to his guys, giving credit to Riley Moss, who's been having an amazing year. Brandon Johnson, who's having an amazing year. Like these guys that are out there doing the right things. And it's the same thing on the offense. And if you look at our offense, I'm looking at our top 5 receivers. Top 6, I'll say. So Cortland Sutton, obviously our top receiver. He's on path to have a 1,000-yard year, 647 yards. Devon Bailey, number 2, rookie. Little Jordan Humphrey, young. Javonte Williams, obviously getting a lot of stuff from the backfield. Josh Reynolds has only played 5 games, 183 yards. And then Troy Franklin, rookie, at 183 yards or 159 yards. And then you got Marvin Mims got 118. And Marvin Mims is a guy that we haven't been thrown to at all, other than sometimes, he gets some of the get him in space with the ball kind of thing. And that goes back to we're trying to find ways to put the balls in the hands of our playmakers in a position that suits them best. That's why we're getting Marvin Mims those screens, because once he has the ball in his hands, he can make people miss, and he's fast. Get him that ball, get it in his hands, and let him make the people miss. Let him get those yards. So I just love it. Our team's young. We everybody thought this was a rebuild year, that we weren't going to win. I mean, Vegas had us at less than 5.5 points or 5.5 wins. So yeah, we'll see what happens going forward. I really think that we have such a young team, and it's super exciting to see.
Can you hear me, Jared?
I can hear you. I just can't see you.
Okay. I'm frozen on my screen, so I was just going to bring up some of these comments. If you want to talk, I'm trying to come back here. Yep. We've talked about him, and guys, thanks for the comments. I definitely want to hit these. First off, is PS2 playing today? Allison with the right answer. Yes, we definitely expect him to be playing. No issues there. Let's see. We've talked about him.
Yeah, thank you,
but
Michael.
I want to get your take.
This was our big. This was my big point. Me and Spotty's big point.
So, first off, everybody, make sure you go listen to the pregame podcast when those come out. Probably not much time now, 20 minutes before the game. But what are you thinking in terms of what impact do you expect to see Max Crosby have today? And, is this something, who is going to be the one, or what's the game plan to kind of just keeping him at bay?
Yeah, I the big part about this is just know where he is on the field at all times. Call out 98. You're going to see Bo Nix out there calling 98's number every single time. Find out where he's on the field and just make sure that you have somebody to cover him. If he's lining out on the outside, you're going to need those tight ends to stand a little bit longer. You're not going to be able to get the quick releases that you want, which is fine. With the DBs, the DB that they have, it's not like they have, all-star DBs that are going to be able to cover the quick stuff to where you need your tight end to be releasing quick. Get the shots, make sure that whoever's blocking him has a good handle on him before you go. And then the other thing is run away from him, because he's not only, everybody talks about him on how good he is in the pass defense and how good he is on the rush, but he's really good on the run defense too. He can shed blocks. He can get out there. He can make you miss or make a blocker miss to be able to stop a run. Run away from him. Just know where he is on the field. That's really what it comes down to. Like I said, you're going to see Nix know. He's going to call him out. He's probably going to ask his running back. He's probably going to turn to his running back like, you're going this side, right? Like 98's on the left. You're going to be blocking left for me, right? You're going to help me out here. And that's really what it's going to be. And once we do that and we establish that, it's going to open up a lot of things. I have faith in our offensive line. I don't have faith on any offensive lineman, for the record, in the NFL to go one-on-one with Max Crosby, but I have faith in our offensive line to be able to communicate to each other. Hey, man, I might need a little help here. This dude's a monster. He's absolutely destroying me.
I can't do it by myself. Yeah. See, Kellen, I love it. The O-line has been a wall. They have been doing very well this year, and I don't expect them to do anything less today. Ken says he's expecting a deep shot being taken off of a smoke screen. Fake the screen and get a wide receiver awesome. Deep. Man,
we set it up.
It's like, hey, we're setting it up. Yeah.
Hey, Ken, this is thank you, Ken, because this is a great take, right? If you're looking at the, especially in, maybe not in the red zone. Obviously, it's hard to do that in the red zone, but if you're looking at our tape last week and you're like, oh, well, they like to throw the screens. Let's make sure that we cover the screens. And then you do one fake, you do a smoke screen, and you send it deep. You only need one. Do we use it this game though? Right? That's one of those like tricks in your pockets you can kind of only use once. And do we show our hand this game, or do we wait till we really need it, which might be, a little bit later on down the road when we're getting into some of these closer games. But yeah, if we're getting to a point in this game where it's close in the third quarter and we need a big score and we need the momentum to shift back our way, I would love it. I love that take.
I love it, man. Hey guys, let's start posting some score predictions. If you guys want to start posting those, we'll talk about them here in about 5-10 minutes. And see what you guys have. So start posting your score predictions as your official entries into the prize prediction, that we'll give away here if anybody gets it right. Question up here I want to get back to is who's going to replace Zach Allen? And it looked like Jackson. That's probably who's up next in line.
Well, Roach is usually in there most of the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's not a combination. Let me just double check something real quick.
Yeah, Chris was asking.
Yeah, so on the defensive side, you're probably going to see Malcolm Roach. He's more of a nose tackle, but you're going to see him maybe not at the defense end, but even lately, like Zach Allen's listed as a D-ender, but he's not, right? We use our outside linebackers. We go, he plays on the inside. I would see Malcolm Roach in the middle, mostly for that defensive run stop. He's a big guy. He's actually, I really like Malcolm Roach. I think he's been playing very well for us. He's gotten a couple big pressures as well, but he's also very good in the run game. I wouldn't be surprised to see that Franklin Myers, DJ Jones, and Malcolm Roach in the middle, and then you're going to see those guys, Jordan Jackson and Uzurke, kind of rotating in those positions. But you got guys like Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonito on the outside. Jonah Ellis has been playing pretty well for us. Those are going to be our edge rushers, and the other three are really just internal. Make sure the run doesn't go anywhere and keep the gap sound on the internal side of that line.
I like it. Before we get to our score predictions, Jared, what are a couple of your keys to the game here, man? What are you looking at?
Stop Max Crosby, stop Brock Bowers. We win this game.
I like it. Okay,
that's
nice and
just
simple.
Straight. If I were to take our 35-minute pregame podcast and put it into 5 seconds, that's it. It's basically all we talk about. You stop those two guys from doing anything crazy, and we win this game. And it's not, obviously some of the guys are going to get theirs, right? They're going to get a big 15-yard, maybe a 20-yard catch, or a 15-yard run. I mean, Abdullah, maybe, hopefully not, but for the most part, you stop Brock Bowers, who is their all-star. You stop, rookie all-star, who's a great pickup for them, and then you stop Max Crosby on the defensive side, and we play Bronco football. Minimal mistakes. Don't put us in third long, stupid situations, and we win this game.
I love it. Look, the interesting thing from last week is we scored 38 points, and none of those came from a defensive turnover. That was all offense. So
long drives,
I would love long drives. Exactly. So I would love to see not just a turnover, but some points come off of those turnovers, whether it's pick six or scoop and score or whatever the case is. But either way, turnover battle is going to be huge this game, I think, because you got to just be able to shut the Raiders down, keep them off the field, keep our defense rested, so that they're just, max power every time they go out there. But if we find ourselves in that cycle of 3 and out, maybe only 1 or 2 first downs, and the defense is out there for long drive after long drive after, that could be, a place where we find ourselves in trouble. So defense just has to go out there and do their job, but offense has to move the ball as well. Second point, you got to believe. You got to believe, guys. Bo Nix is looking better and better each week. When he's making those mistakes, he's learning from them. The amount of times he repeats those mistakes is virtually nil. So what can he do this week that's better? What is he going to learn? What is he going to see? It's really good to see that he has kind of like that eye on the back of his head, some pressure is coming from behind me and I'm going to move, because this could be a game where he really needs it if Max Crosby gets away and is coming at him from his blind side. But he seems to have that sense that you can't really teach. And so you got to believe. I think he's going to be able to put the game away for us like we've seen in the past. Jared, you're still, we kind of saw it against the Chiefs game, a game-winning drive of sorts. I like to see it end in, a win, but hopefully we're not in a position this game where we have to be in that position. But either way, when you're looking at Bo Nix versus Gardner Minshew, I think you have the much better quarterback in Bo Nix. So,
yeah. Well, I said it. The Kansas City game is what made me believe. I don't get me wrong. I saw the progression. I saw him doing great things, and I really saw it. But I needed to see him win a game. I needed to see it. And it's funny because I asked him to win a game, and we didn't even win. But I needed to see that he had the capability of taking a ball with it's on your shoulders, kid. Like, go down there, score, to put us into a position to win this game. And he did that with 5 minutes too. Like, that's another crazy thing. Is like he took 5 minutes. Would I still like to see that 2-minute drill? Yeah. Right. I'd like to see if he could do it in 2 minutes. But what we've seen on third down and longs, when the pressure's on, he's making the throws. He's making the plays. I think he can do it. That's what made me believe. He has the capability of taking this team when we need it to score the football, score the touchdown to win the game. And that's what, and it's just going to get better over time. The kid's a rookie. I love it. It's such a great time to be a Broncos fan. It's such a great time.
Love it. Ken says we can't give them hope, must make them quit early. Can't let them believe if they keep playing hard, they have a chance. Shut them down early, man. Shut them down early. I love these predictions we're also getting with sacks. Michael here, Bonito with 3 sacks. That's an awesome prediction. Chris is going one step further. What?
I think if Bonito gets 3 sacks, I think that puts him back in second, if not first, in the league in sacks. So
yeah. Chris is taking it one step further and saying Broncos defense gets 7 or 8 total sacks. So
that's nuts.
I think we're really going to be bringing the pressure back there, and I love it. With that said, guys, it's time to bring up some score predictions, and Jared and I will give ours after we bring up yours. I like these, some high-scoring games here. Prediction, Broncos 27-13 from Gary. Allison, 35-21. Kellen, 34-10, of course. I like the of course. Christopher, this is a good one, 45-17. Talk about a powerhouse just scoring day, whether offense and some of those coming from defense. Wow.
Yeah.
Anthony 31-10, Ken 30-13, knock on wood. I'll do that for you as well, man. Michael, repeat of last week with an exact score of 38-6. I love that as well. Andrew 26-16 Broncos, a little closer there, but look, if you're looking at this being a divisional game, you never know. Always can be really tough. And I see another one down here. Tracy, prediction Broncos 34-18. Guys, remember, get a screenshot of your score prediction. If you're correct, let me know so I can send you those awesome prizes and let everybody that watches our show know that you are an expert predictor. Let's see. Also, Kellen here, I want to see Miners carry Williams 100 yards for the score. Look, Jared, really quickly before we get to closing thoughts, what is your take on this? If the person carrying the ball gets picked up and lifted into the end zone, does the person carrying the ball get the touchdown, or should the person picking up the carrier of the football get credited with the touchchdown?
So by rule, yes, the person that carrying the football, holding the football in their arms gets a touchdown. However, if I'm Javonte Williams, I'm holding on to that ball and giving it to him at the end of the day and saying, "This is your touchdown, man. Let's put some words on it, saying, hey, this is my first touchdown in the NFL," because just absolutely beautiful. And again, this goes back to that team mentality we were talking about. Just like, don't give up on each other. It's not about who scores the football. It's about if we score the football. Like it's just so cool to see and how they're playing together, playing as a team, spreading the ball around. It's just really nice.
Oh man. Well, dude, let's get some closing thoughts going in your score prediction as well. Broncos are set to face off against the 2-8 Raiders, who are 1-3 at home. However, knock on wood again, the Broncos have not won in Vegas yet. They keep putting their money on red, and it just does not turn up. So, man, what do we do to break that cycle?
Brock Bowers and Max Crosby. Those are the two. We stopped this cycle today, and we get the win. We move forward. This is the year of history, right? I think Bo Nix is the first quarterback to do XYZ since in the course as a rookie for the Broncos, right? The first time we beat Sean Payton beating every team in the league this year. First time we win in Oakland, right? Or in Las Vegas. Like this is we're the first time that we've ever been the first team to ever be flexed, us and the Chargers to be flexed to a Thursday game. Like we're making history this year. And I think this is going to be one of them. This is going to be the first time, and get that notch on their belt, get them to stop showing they're going to say it 15 times here in about 15 minutes. I know they are. And just get them to stop saying it so we can move on. The same thing last year when we beat the Chiefs. Get them to stop saying that we haven't beat the Chiefs in a while, right? Just get them to stop it. And then we can move forward. And I think this is the game to do it. And I don't even think they're thinking about that in any way, shape, or form. I don't think the team is, and I don't think Sean Payton is. But for my score prediction, I did say that in the pregame podcast, I was very similar. I can't remember the exact score. I need to start writing down my exact score when I give the predictions in the shows. But I was very close to some of you guys where I'm thinking this is going to be a blowout. I was thinking somewhere close to what Anthony's saying, 31-10 or 30-13. I think I did say 31. Maybe 31-13, just kind of split the middle between each of you guys. I think they're going to get a couple. We're really good at our defense is very good, but we also have a bad habit of letting them get some yards, but stopping them in the red zone. And I think they're going to be able to kick a couple field goals in this game as long as they don't get any explosive plays like those oopsies where the the DB falls down or they're not talking to each other and there's just some sort of wide open play to Brock Bowers in the end zone. I don't see it happening, but if that's the case, like, yeah, it's going to happen. But for the rest of the day, I think the Broncos defense is just going to be absolutely on point, and I think our offense is going to be able to put up 30 points again. Which, I mean, when was the last time we had a season we had this many 30-point games? Like, it's crazy. I love it. I love that I have faith in the offense again.
It's been too long. Been way too long. I like the score prediction. For me, the Broncos have not allowed a touchdown in 9 full quarters of football. Guys, think about that. The last time they still allowed a touchdown was the 3rd quarter in Baltimore. So, I think that does get broken today with 1 touchdown. I'm hoping it's late in the game so that we can say it was like 10, 11, kind of quarters. They had that streak. But okay, it is what it is. I think something like Brock Bowers getting free, like you're talking about, is something that's going to happen. But I don't expect this. I just don't see the Raiders overcoming the Broncos if they're in the right mindset. Focus on this week. I don't care what the Raiders record is. I don't care what our record is. This is a game that we have to take incredibly seriously, go out there and play our absolute best to win. If they do that, I just don't see how the Raiders could get enough good luck to overcome that. Could they make it a close game? For sure, but we'll see what happens. My score prediction is not a close game like what you're saying. I'm thinking 34-13. Less production from the offense, but score from the defense. So help make up for some of that. And the defense will just do their thing as they have been. So I'm excited, man. This is, like what you're saying, a great time to be a Broncos fan. If you have a Riley Moss jersey, man, there are some players here where you're like, maybe it's time to get one of these player jerseys, because I tend to just personalize them so I don't have to go through them every year or two like we have been. But man, Kellen here, a small bump in the road, but ultimately we need to overcome today. At the end of the day, completely agreed, man. Jared, thank you very much for joining me, guys. Don't forget, we will be live back here at halftime covering the first half of the game, seeing what all happened and what the Broncos need to do to secure the win in the second half there. So make sure you enjoy it. Look, we're in the second half of the season. It's going by fast. There's a lot of good things to talk about. So just revel in the moment as long as you possibly can, because this season is flying by. So Jared, appreciate you, man. I got nothing left to say other than to end it, as we always do, on a very strong Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Take care, everyone. See you at halftime.
Do what I like, yeah, do what I like, yeah, do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, yeah, they know I'm a pro.